Well, thank you for joining us here on this Friday as we finish another work week together. And today I'd like to go back to the book of Psalms. There's so much there to encourage us as believers. Psalm 63 was thought to be a psalm of David when he was in the wilderness of Judea, running from Saul. And this was a time of real preparation by the Lord. And we read in verse 1, O God, thou art my God. Early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land where no water is, to see thy power and thy glory, so as I have seen thee in the sanctuary. I've often said that when people see Jesus, everything's okay. Now, I'm not talking about physically with our eyes, but much better than that, spiritually with our heart. And David knew that. He said, I seek you early, God. I've got to get my perspective where it ought to be. I want my soul to be refreshed, because my soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land. Without you, I can't make it, Lord, but I'm seeking you. And he says, I want to see thy power and thy glory as I've seen it in the sanctuary, because thy loving kindness is better than life. My lips shall praise thee. My friends, we have the great privilege in the New Testament age of not having to go to the sanctuary. We are the sanctuary. The Holy Spirit indwells us. And when we take time to set the world aside and to truly seek the Lord, to be in the Word, have the Holy Spirit really make it clear to us and deal with us according to His Word, and to illumine Christ through it, and then just to be praying and opening our hearts to the Lord, I promise you, though every devotional time is not the same, there will be the sweetness of the reality of our God. And friends, no matter what we face in our personal life, no matter what we see around us, when we have had a time with the Lord, and then we see Him work in accordance to how we've prayed in that extended time of prayer, our hearts cannot help but just be lifted up, because we're no longer looking at our own weaknesses. We're no longer looking at the weaknesses of others. We're no longer looking at the impossibilities of life. We've seen God. We know how great He is, and we know how He loves us, and that it's not of us. He has so accomplished the work on the cross that we can have victory, and that we can be used of Him. And just everything about life changes. And so I encourage you, don't rush into a day. If you don't have a genuine time with God in an extended way, you're going to find yourself looking at all the temporal things and being overwhelmed by yourself and the problems and all the weaknesses that are there. But when we see Jesus, we're okay. Oh, I remember so often being scared as a little child, and then there was my dad. I was okay. And as we face the difficulties of life, when Jesus is there, we're okay. When we know our great God, God the Father's care, the Spirit of God's edifying in our life, when those things are real to us, we're just fine. And so I encourage you, do not neglect your time with God, for that will be the key for encouragement.